Hello there viewers, welcome back to the channel, and it is time for another episode of Darwin's Game. This is Maverick here, and let's see, what happened last episode? Well, I literally only watched last episode a few days ago. Oh yeah, so I had a lot of complaints about the actions of the characters, as I have been throughout this series as a whole, but really, you know, if you guys are still watching this up to this point, I'm guessing that you already know the way that I like to do these sort of reviews and whatnot, and you are able to listen to it without being turned off by it, right? So they did have some pretty boneheaded moves, I gotta be honest, on both sides of the party, both on Konami's party and on Wong's party. With that being said, at the very end there, I do think that Konami, even though it seemed very, very reckless and dangerous to me, what he actually did, I do think he has a plan with this. I think he's actually bluffing. Now, I didn't like the way that he did this bluff, but I am hoping that he can actually back this bluff up with some other stuff, right? And if he's not bluffing, then, you know, then it's just a pretty stupid move. I gotta be honest here. But I do hope that it's actually a bluff and that there's actually some weight behind his words there, right? One of the key things I talked about last episode is that in order to make a bluff, you need to show that you are in a position to negotiate. You know, you have something that they are afraid of or fearful of, right? You gotta have leverage, basically. So that's something that I'm curious to see how they are going to do. Perhaps it's going to have something to do with the end goal, the end result of the entire thing. And speaking of which, I would like to know in the end what exactly those numbers mean. Right now, personally, I'm still going with, well, I don't really have any other theory except that it might be a combination code for one of the lockers or luggage or whatnot. But, well, let's get into the episode and find out. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, don't disappoint me, Konami. And so it is. Again, if you do want to negotiate, you know, whether or not it was a bluff or not. Now, I do believe it's a bluff because his ability, Roji's ability, is to see. Is to know whether or not someone is telling the truth. That's why I do believe that it was a bluff. Now, with that being said, even regardless if it's a bluff or not, like I said, in order to open negotiation, especially with someone who believes in brute force and power, you need leverage on your own side, right? That would either be a show of force on your own side or something that they can't really get forcefully. And no, just saying that I have information that you don't know probably isn't gonna cut it in terms of the negotiation stuff. Because there's no rules to play by here. Like I said before, the opening song of this is probably the thing that I look forward to the most every week when I watch this. Mayo and I. Fragile. And yet the the kanji is something like calm, balanced. Not balanced, calm. Yeah. Oh, so he knows that. Huh. Hmm. Yeah. I don't I don't need him to tell me that. Why would you need a key when you can literally just use your Yes, you can. Ugh. Maybe he's just buying time. That's probably not what Kaname is thinking. Sniper? Okay. Number of digits, 6 digits. There we go. The lockers. Wait, what? Oh, because he already got it? Ah. But hmm. Oh wait, the free ring thing only needed to happen if it was not cleared, right? So if it's cleared, then it doesn't really matter. And so what was that in there? Want to check it out? A phone. Ooh, it might be the creator of Darwin's game? Yeah, there's gotta be more for this, right? Huh. Really? A blank check, right? Ooh. That's the girl. Hmm. Completed. Alright. Hmm. I would say you really wouldn't want to have something that stops other people from joining. They could be allies, you know. Hmm. So his sigil has finally been named? Oh, so that's the guy that we see in the opening. That is interesting. Large-scale terrorist bombings. Oh, they actually weren't able to. Huh. You know, they can do all that other stuff and they're not able to repair it? Okay, that is certainly interesting. And like I said, the government has to be in on this, right? Are we actually gonna get through the entire story? Okay. I like that. I like this version. So what is your house made of? Hmm. That's actually pretty expensive. I agree. Better safe than sorry. Hmm. Oh. Yeah, your dad's dead. Is this the guy who, oh, the creator of the D game, the game master of the D game, was talking about? Who are you? That's a pretty useful sigil. Okay. Okay. Good for you. Two months, eh? Logical. That's not an unreasonable request. This dude is gonna end up. Duel. Alrighty, so with the end of this episode, we conclude this arc, and it seems that we have some big stuff coming up at the very end as well. So we went through a little time skip, I'm assuming, around 2 months where they trained up, healed up, prepared for their next big venture into the world, right? I think this is over. And they even skip class to do this, but no, that's for later, right? We probably, especially with the very end there, with one of Wong's henchmen finding Konami's friend, I'm going to guess that that's probably going to be the last arc of this series for this season. We got 3 more episodes until the end, and yeah, that's probably going to be the final battle, and they're going to take care of Wong once and for all. Now, beyond that, a little bit about the the eventual bluff, negotiation slash solving or completion of the event. I'm not gonna go into too much over it. Konami himself said that it was really just a last ditch effort to gamble and bet to see if this would work. Right now, obviously there are a lot of flaws with this plan, but at the end of the day, he's the protagonist, he's got the plot armor, and this series so far has not been showing a very keen, it hasn't shown its strong point to be that of being, very, logically consistent, right? So, whatever. I guess the important thing is that he did solve it in the end and managed to get the prize, the privilege, right? And just to quickly go over, like, for some of the things which don't really make sense, it's, for instance, if his entire bluff is just consisting of, hey, I know where it is and I got the key to it, and yet you already tell them where exactly the treasure is, like, what the hell do they need the key for, right? If it's something that has the key, they could literally just destroy everything and then try to find the treasure that way, right? There's nothing saying that you have to use the key to find the treasure, right? So, again, that's just one of many things, but like I said, I'm not gonna be hung up too much over what transpired there. Now, the interesting thing here is that the game master appeared, and we got to see a little bit more about the other players, the past event winners, as well as this special, the entire concept of Darwin's game, little hints of it, and of course the privilege granted at the very end, right? Now, in terms of the past event winners, one thing that I was about to make fun of them for, but later on, I thought about it and found that it does kind of make sense. And that is the fact that they are actually using their privilege, the thing that they want from the game, in order to make more money. Right. Now, the thing that seemed kind of ridiculous to me is that you have this sort of Darwin's game, this sort of game mechanic here that's able to grant you these supernatural powers. It's able to do all these supernatural things, conjure things up from thin air and conjure things away from thin air. And you got all that, and the thing that you request for is actually to be able to make more money, such as joining the gambling house, such as in enhancing your business, yada yada yada. Like, it seemed to me that seemed trivial compared to all the possibilities out there, right? But the more that I think about it, the more that I think that might be a smart move as well. It's been shown here that the real world and the Darwin's game aren't necessarily completely separate apart. They are in some ways capable of supporting each other. The things that's in Darwin's game, the items you get, the abilities and whatnot, it's all usable in the real world, and vice versa, right? Because the things that you buy with the points are real world stuff, so there's nothing saying that it can't be completely transferred over as well. well. I think a few episodes ago I was actually talking about the concept of, since this is sort of like a mobile game, right? You've always got these in real life. We've got these whales, these people who pay to win, and they they just toss down tons and tons of money in order to give them an advantage within the game, right? And I was wondering if even in this game the sort of concept could be true. Like if there was a billionaire playing this game, he could have access to a lot of different resources and manpower and information and whatnot that could actually help him play this game, right? And yeah, that's just one of the things. So I guess maybe in the end, it's not that crazy to think that you would use this to gain more, to gain more money, gain more power, and that would translate into a bigger advantage within the game as well. So after thinking about it, I think that is still more than reasonable. In terms of the Darwin's game and its entirety and whatnot, considering that the thing is called Darwin's game, right? Darwin, the system of evolution and whatnot, and then one of the criteria, one of the ways to quit the game is to eventually complete the game. I do wonder if this is one of those types where, this is one of those concepts where the entire point of the game is to allow humans to evolve to their next stage, right? Something like that. The very last champion would exhibit the highest qualities a human can have, and eventually help push humans to the next level. There's been tons of other series that use a similar concept as well. Human evolution. What is the next step after we are already here? We've stagnated. Some of now, lots of series, right? I'm not going to go into the different examples here, but I think that might be one of the goals of this. I don't know, just throwing it out there, but it would make sense considering that the title literally has Darwin in it, right? So then again, that's something that we're absolutely not going to be exploring for this season. So maybe just something to, just a little fun little prediction out here, right? And at the very last, we got the privilege that Konami got, right? And we do know that it has something to do with acting as deterrent towards other players. Maybe not. So the wording there wasn't entirely clear. I thought at first he meant something that would deter other players from joining the D game overall, like a newbie joining into the D game. But with the way that the images were, and upon rewatching, I think it's a little bit more like initiating a duel or initiating a battle with another player, right? So, and then again, what exactly could this privilege be? Well, it's not something. I don't think it's something that can fundamentally change the game mechanics, right? Because we see the other requests that were granted, they were stuff to do with real world stuff. So nothing to give an OP advantage, an unfair advantage for them within the game. I was originally floating around in my brain the ideas of, for instance, Konami could be granted the privilege to say, okay, for this battle, can we use our sigils or not, right? Or maybe a case where, hey, if I win, then you have to give all your remaining points to me, something of that sort, right? But that would obviously be a little bit too overpowered for this privilege. I don't think this privilege is supposed to be used in this sort of way. So again, that's got me thinking, like, what exactly could he get that would help him deter battles from other people? And honestly, I can't really think of one. I mean, there's lots. Obviously, there's lots and lots of different things, but one that particularly suits Konami's his personality and whatnot, I can't really find of a good one. The best I can think of right now is perhaps before every battle, his privilege would be that you both need to state what your sigil does, right? Or something of that sort. But that doesn't really make sense either. So I don't know. I guess we shall see in the next episode once he carries out the duel, right? So yeah, yeah, that's about it. I don't really think I have a good grasp of what it can be, so we shall just see in the next episode. So there we go. That was Darwin's Game episode 8, and I will see you guys next week as well. Until then, bye bye.